In a previous video, we made this cave game, let's say. It's not really a game. We kind of made the functionality of what will be a game, and we basically made these buttons here that allows us to move left, to move right, or west and east, north and south. And in this box right here, this label, I give some information. I call that LBL data, as you can see there. I give some information as to, what cave we're in. If I were to run this, I start off in cave A, and I can go east. And when I run into an area where there is no cave, where there's no door there, I get this message here, so I can go back to cave A. There's no door there, so go back to cave A. I can go south, none there. So you can see you can pretty much map your way through. And in the previous video, I also showed a diagram of how the caves will be situated. So if you didn't get to see that, it'd be better to go stop this video and go to the previous video of us creating this if you don't quite understand how this is put together. Before we actually get started in writing JSON, if you're not familiar with JSON, it'll be a good idea to actually go to w3schools.com and just look up JSON, and you'll see a lot of tutorials up there that kind of tells you how to do it, tells you about the arrays, gives you a lot of detail about it, including how to access arrays within arrays, and array values, including on how to access arrays within arrays and array values by using the index. So it tells you how to traverse them. I mean, it just pretty much gives you everything you need to know about accessing elements and objects inside of JSON. So make sure you go ahead and read through that and go through some of these examples. In my code currently, I have these caves being added directly. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to serialize my caves inside of a JSON file. And the best way to do that, there's a couple of ways actually we can do this. We could do this through something called Newtonsoft, and it's an application that you can get inside of your Visual Studio to be able to parse, to serialize and deserialize JSON files. And the way to do that would be to go to your project, right click, and go down here to manage NuGet packages. You don't have to follow along with this because I'm not really going to use Newtonsoft. I'm going to use the one that's included with Visual Studio. But let's say if you did want to get Newtonsoft, then you would go here and then you would go to browse, and then all you need to do is put newtonsoft.json, and here it is, and you would double click on that and install it. It'll automatically install into your project. So I'm going to go ahead and install it in this project even though I'm not going to use it, so you can see how it works. So I select it, here's some information about it, and then I can click install. I click OK. Once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and close this. And then if I go over here to my cave project, I can go to my references, and you'll see right here one of the references included with my project now is Newtonsoft. If I want to use that, all I need to do is go up here and go imports and newtonsoft.json. And now I'm able to use the Newtonsoft library inside of my project. But I'm not using Newtonsoft right now. So what I need to do is just go ahead and import a different package. And that package is going to be what comes with Visual Studio. And that package is I'm going to import. It's called the system.web. .script. And as I start typing, I notice that I don't get system.web.script. And that's because I have to create a reference to it. So if you don't see that, if you see what I'm seeing where it's not helping you, the IntelliSense is not helping you, it's because we have to create a reference to it. So let's go ahead and do that. And the way we're going to do that, I'm going to leave this like this. Actually, I want this to be an error for now. Good. So I'm going to go here to my references. I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a reference. So what I'm looking for is the extensions to web.extensions. So I'm going to scroll down. And here's the system web.extensions. I'm going to select that, then click OK. Now let's go back here, and I'm going to try to start typing script. And there it is. There's the script, and then I want the serialization. Now I can start using the JSON parser here. The only other thing I know I'm going to need to do is export things out or save things out to file. So I'm going to also include my system.io. Good. So that's the first step. The second step we need to do is now we're going to go ahead and quickly learn how to serialize something. We're going to write it out to a file, maybe a file that's inside of our project. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create some caves based off of the cave class. And we're going to fill in these things. And then we're going to print those out to a file. Right now, as you see, I do not have a JSON file in here. Okay. So what I want to be able to do is go ahead and print the JSON file out. There are a lot of applications out there online that actually converts VB objects to JSON. So if you ever want to check those out, there's a ton of those out there. All you have to do is search for convert VB to JSON, and there's a ton of things out there for that. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I want to be able to convert something that's particular to my game, and it may, I want to see how my parser, this parser that's included with VB.net, how it's going to convert it and how the file is going to look. So that way, when I bring it in, I know exactly what I'm going to be getting. And so I'm going to go ahead and pause and go ahead and create some caves here. Instead of just creating the caves as a new cave and giving it a title, I'm going to create some caves, and I'm going to give it more than just a title. I'm going to give it the description, has enemies, and cave numbers. But before I do that, if you notice what I have here is single caves, and then I create them separately, then I add them to the current cave, and that's about it. I don't have anything that holds all these caves together. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to create something to hold all my caves together. So I'm going to create a caves, plural, and I'm going to make that as a new dictionary. Maybe a new list. No, a new dictionary is fine. Yeah, because I want the name and I want the index. So I'm going to call that as a dictionary. And it's going to be a dictionary of caves. Nah, you know what? I think a list will do here because I don't need that index. I just want a list of caves. So that should be good enough there. Now I'm going to go ahead and type out my caves. So now we have our caves. So I have cave A here, which was created just like it was up here. Cave B, which was created up here. And cave C and cave D. But then I add all the other attributes to that, so I can go ahead and get rid of these. Now the next thing I need to do is add all of these caves to my cave list. And all I need to do is say caves.add. And then I can add cave A. And then I'll just do the same thing with the other caves. So I have now cave A, cave B, cave D, and cave C all added to this list of caves, created them separately. Now what I want to be able to do is go ahead and print these out to my file. So first what I will do, actually I'll leave this here for now. So the first thing I need to do is go ahead and create myself a serializer. Now a serializer is going to be coming from my serialization class here. So I can put that almost anywhere. I'd rather put it right before I start doing everything. So before I even start doing all of this, I'm going to put the serializer first. I'm going to even put it before my initialization. So I'm just going to go ahead and dim myself an SER, standing for serializer, as a new JavaScript serializer, sorry. Okay, and I can go ahead and take this right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put it up here, just for organizational purposes. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here after I've added all my caves to that list. And the reason why I put them all on that list, so I can go ahead and serialize that list. So I'm going to put all of that inside of a results variable. And then as a string, because the results are going to come back as a string, it's going to, is the JSON file is a string, basically. It's just one long string. So I'm going to call my serializer SER dot serialize, and then I'm going to give it my caves. Now this is going to serialize my caves. Now for the use of my systems.io, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to call upon the file dot write all text. Now that file dot write all text, I'm going to give it a location, and then I'm going to give it the results I want to put in that location. Now this is where I'm going to go to my project, and I want to find out the location of my project because that's where I want the file to be saved. And the way I do that is I right click on my project, I go down here to open file and open in File Explorer. Then I get this File Explorer open. Then I can just click on a blank spot here and it'll give me that full address right there. Then what I can do is I can just paste that in here. And there we have it. That's that full address. Now at the end of that address, I want to put the name of the file. And if it doesn't exist, it's gonna create it. And if it does exist, it's gonna write over it. So I'm gonna just call this caves.json. And now what I want to put in that created file is my results, because that's going to be the string I'm going to write. So right now we see there's no file there, and I'm just going to leave this as this stands, and then I'm going to go ahead and run this and see what happens. Let's see if we get an error. So we didn't get an error. Looks like everything's working right. It actually took the names that I have up here, which is really good. We don't have cave A, cave B anymore, so we have that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this and see if it actually wrote to the file. Now, right now, I don't see anything here, but if I go here and I go to Open File and Explorer, you'll see it did write the caves.json file. And the reason we don't see it here is because we have to go here to Show All Files, and then we'll see the caves.json file there. Because it was written, it's not really included. We are writing it. As you can see, here is everything that we have written in that JSON file.